Imagine running for a local office, but like intentionally using technology to block your own neighbors from seeing your campaign.
It sounds totally absurd, right?
Yeah.
But it's actually this brilliant and, well, highly controversial tactic in modern campaigns.
Yeah.
And it is happening right now.
Yeah, a scenario that sounds completely crazy until you look at the math. So let's set the stage for you. It is April 2026. Democrat Mary Peltola, who, was the first Alaska Native to serve in Congress, is mounting this massive challenge to Republican incumbent Senator Dan Sullivan.
And it is high stakes. The money is just pouring in at a record-breaking speed.
Exactly. Peltola just announced a massive, record-breaking haul, $8.9 million raised in just the first quarter. Meanwhile, Sullivan is sitting on a pretty huge $7.5 million war chest.
And keep in mind, that is just the money the candidates control. Outside super PACs are dropping tens of millions into the fray. Frame this in your mind. This is a single Senate seat in America's last frontier.
Right, but it could easily decide control of the entire U.S. Senate. So, welcome to our deep dive. Today, our mission is to unpack a really massive stack of sources for you.
We've got polling memos, campaign finance reports, and this very intense official Federal Election Commission complaint.
Yeah, we are going to use all this to understand the strategies and the legal controversies defining this race. But, real quick, before we jump into the deep end, we need to state something very clearly.
Right. This is important. The sources we are looking at today contain some highly partisan allegations. We have claims coming from both left-wing and right-wing groups.
And we are not taking sides here. We don't endorse any of these viewpoints. We are just impartially reporting the facts and claims exactly as they appear in the source material so you can understand what's going on.
Exactly. We just want to break down the mechanics of the election for you.
Okay, let's unpack this. How did a race in a state with such a tiny population become the absolute center of the political universe?
Well, it really starts with the math of the Senate map. Democrats saw Alaska as one of their only real chances to play offense. But, to understand the millions of dollars flowing into Peltola's campaign now, we actually have to look at the money spent just to pressure her into running.
I'm looking at this timeline, and honestly, my first instinct is complete confusion. I mean, she was off the radar for a while.
Yeah, she lost her House seat in 2024 to Nick Begich.
Right. But behind the scenes, this massive pressure campaign was building. According to an article by Suzanne Downing in our sources, national Democratic groups, they call them Schumer Democrats, they poured hundreds of thousands of dollars into attack ads against Dan Sullivan.
And this was in late 2025, months before Peltola even hinted she was going to run.
The numbers in that article are wild. During some key weeks, the weekly ad spending jumped to over $100,000.
Wow. Just bombarding the airwaves.
Yeah, and negative ads outpaced positive ones 5-1. But then, as soon as Peltola declared her candidacy on January 12, 2026, the outside attack spending basically vanished.
Like overnight. The next report showed negative spending dropped to just over $3,500. It completely proves the big map strategy.
Wait, so they just spent all that money to soften the ground for her?
Exactly. They forced Republicans to defend the seat, and they showed Peltola that if she jumped in, they would back her up with massive financial firepower.
Wait, she just lost her House seat in 2024 to Nick Begich. Treating her like the savior of the Senate map sounds like drafting a star quarterback right after they lost the Super Bowl. Why her?
It's a fair question, but you have to look at her unique profile. She is Yupik, so she has a really authentic connection to rural Alaska. Plus, she is a moderate Blue Dog Democrat.
Right, she actually has a history of winning under Alaska's ranked choice voting system. I mean, she beat Sarah Palin in 2022.
Yeah, and she boasts massive national donor appeal. The data backs this up. Look at the March 2026 polling memo from Alaska Survey Research. She holds a positive rating of 48.5%. Sullivan is down at 40.7%.
And in a simulated general election using ranked choice voting, she actually wins round 2 with 50.4% against Sullivan's 43.8%.
And if you just look at a head-to-head match, with undecideds factored out, she leads 52.4% to 47.6%.
So she has this massive national appeal, which brings us to the really controversial way she's raising her millions. Let's talk about the conduit strategy and the cash.
Right. So the National Republican Senatorial Committee, the NRSC, points out that Peltola is running this Alaska First campaign. But her campaign ads are intentionally excluding Alaska.
Wait, really? Out of at least $124,400 spent on Google platforms, barely 1% was spent in Alaska.
Yeah, almost nothing.
Meanwhile, 15% targeted California, heavy spending in Washington state and New York, Some ads literally blocked Alaska IP addresses.
They actively hid the ads from Alaskans. And it's because campaigns spend early money out of state to harvest small-dollar donors. It's an algorithm thing.
Oh, I see. A partisan voter in California sees an ad to flip the Senate and clicks right away.
Exactly. A moderate in Alaska might scroll past it, which hurts the ad's algorithmic performance. So they block the locals, harvest a ton of cash nationally, and build a massive donor list.
And it totally worked. Like we said, she brought in $8.9 million in Q1. She claimed 95% of those donations were $100 or less.
But Sullivan is fighting back. He has his $7.5 million, and the Senate Leadership Fund just committed $15 million to support him.
Wow, $15 million. So what does this all mean? Is it a dangerous gamble to actively hide your ads from the very people you want to vote for you?
Well, once they build that massive national donor list, they just rely on outside PACs, like the Senate Majority PAC or the 907 Initiative. Those groups are the ones who run the actual local attack ads against the opponent.
Ah, so the campaign raises the national money, and the PACs do the local birdie work.
Precisely. But, while her new Senate campaign is breaking all these fundraising records, her leftover 2024 House campaign account is causing some serious trouble.
Oh yeah, this triggered a massive 9-page legal complaint from her Republican opponents. Let's get into the FEC allegations.
Right. The NRSC filed this complaint. And their first allegation is that she used her 2024 House committee as a $230,000 personal slush fund.
A slush fund. And this was between January 2025 and February 2026. The committee reported having zero staff.
Zero staff and running zero ads.
Yet they spent $50,000 on travel and lodging, including stays at the Blackstone in Chicago and the Grove Hotel in Boise.
And the complaint notes that those specific hotel stays directly coincided with a university fellowship and a leadership speech she was giving.
Right. They also spent nearly $4,000 on DoorDash and Grubhub, and over $8,000 at D.C. restaurants like the Monocle and the National Democratic Club.
Yeah, they're really tracking every dollar.
Yeah.
And there is a second major allegation here.
What's that?
The NRSC claims that if she was a legitimate candidate during this time, then her $400,000 salary at the lobbying firm Holland & Hart was an illegal, excessive campaign contribution.
Because she was their senior director of Alaska Affairs, right?
Exactly. But the complaint calls it a sham job. They claim she generated zero billable work, brought in zero clients, and never formally registered as a lobbyist.
Okay, but we have to do an impartiality check here. You listening need to remember these are formal allegations made by a direct political rival, the NRSC.
Right. They're actively seeking to damage her campaign. We are just analyzing the contents of the complaint. We aren't saying any of this is verified truth.
Absolutely. But here's where it gets really interesting. If she filed paperwork to run for the House in November 2024 just to keep her campaign account open, but refused to tell reporters what she was actually running for, how do election laws even untangle what is a campaign expense versus a personal expense?
It is incredibly difficult. Candidates are allowed to test the waters, which means they can travel and meet donors. But they can't use campaign funds for strictly personal benefits. It's a huge legal gray area that the FEC has to untangle now.
Okay, so all this national money and legal maneuvering is basically crashing headfirst into Alaska's very specific, fiercely independent electoral system.
Yeah, the Alaskan Arena, we pulled the Division of Elections packet, and it shows they use a nonpartisan top 4 primary.
Which means candidates don't even need a party label, right? They all run on one single ballot on August 18th.
Exactly. And the top 4 vote getters, regardless of party, advance to the general election, which then uses ranked choice voting.
So this system completely forces a different kind of politics.
Oh, absolutely. With ranked choice voting, candidates can't just rely on extreme partisan bases. They have to be the second choice for a really broad coalition.
And this is exactly why Peltola, running as a moderate, tests so well in the later rounds of polling against Sullivan. She picks up those second and third choice votes.
Yes. The system actually rewards her blue dog Democrat profile in a way a traditional primary never would.
But I have to ask, does pouring millions of out-of-state dollars into a local race backfire in a state system specifically designed to give Alaskans more local control?
That is the big question. Alaskans created this system to take power away from national parties. But now, national money is just adapting to the new rules.
It's an incredible collision of dynamics in this race. I mean, think about what we've covered. We have record-breaking fundraising from controversial out-of-state digital strategies.
Right. Actively hiding ads from locals to farm out-of-state cash.
And we have these intense FEC legal allegations over slush funds and sham jobs, all crashing into the unique mechanics of Alaska's top 4 primary system.
It really is a perfect storm.
And if you were listening, you might be thinking, why should I care? Even if you have never set foot in Alaska, this one race highlights the modern reality of American politics. Local elections that determine the fate of the entire nation are now almost entirely funded by national wallets.
Yeah, it's just a fact now.
It really is. So we want to leave you with a final lingering question to explore on your own. With so much out-of-state money funding digital ads, lobbying jobs, and super PACs, at what point does a state's election stop belonging to the people who actually live there?